Welcome to ETF Market Insights, a weekly show focusing on the evolving world of ETF investing. Each Friday, a new panel of thought leaders aims to provide investment education and insights, with the goal of helping you become an informed investor. Make sure to visit youtube.com/ETF Market Insights to watch previous episodes. And remember to hit subscribe so you receive a notification when we post new content and when we go live each Friday. Thank you for joining us today. Let's get started.
Welcome back to ETF Market Insights. I'm your host, Erin Allen with BMO ETFs. And today we are doing part 2 of our free ETF tools demo. So a few weeks ago, we went through a few of our new tools in part 1. So check out that video in case you missed it. And today we're going to walk through some examples of how do-it-yourself investors can use some of our new tools to do due diligence around ETFs and help them make better informed decisions around which ETFs to include in their portfolio. As a reminder, you can access these tools straight from bmoetfs.com or from our ETF Market Insights website. Before we get started, just a quick reminder that we're not providing you any investment advice or recommendations. Today is all about education around do-it-yourself investing and around using ETFs for Canadians. With me today, I have my colleague Zayla Saunders here to give us a demo. Zayla's on my team here and is focused on online distribution. She brings a wealth of experience in working with both financial planners and do-it-yourself investors in her previous roles. So I'm really happy to have her here. Zayla, welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much for having me, Erin. I'm so excited to be here.
It's been a long time coming. And I know you're a big user of our new tools, so I thought you'd be a great person to demo the second set here.
Very happy to join.
One of the most popular sales pieces that we use is called our largest and most liquid ETFs. And what we've done, and what I want you to demo for us today, Zayla, is how we've created a new tool that's really customizable and interactive for investors around this whole concept of the largest and most liquid ETFs. So Zayla, walk us through this one and how investors can use it to do due diligence around ETFs in Canada.
Thanks so much, Erin. I'm so excited to walk through these tools today, and thank you very much for having me on Market Insights. So as we head into bmogam.com, you can see there's a tools section specifically dedicated to all of the new tools that we've launched. So as Erin mentioned, we built a tool around one of our most popular resources, the largest and most liquid ETFs. So you can see within this tab here, there's a variety of information. So I'm going to break it down for you in a couple key functions here. So at first look, you can see all BMO tickers starting with Z. But don't fret, we have this wonderful button here you can click, show results from all providers. And that way you have a robust view of tickers from many different ETF providers. So you have those BMO ETFs as well as other companies. Now you're probably wondering, okay, largest and most liquid ETFs, how does an ETF get that title? So ETFs that have over $100 million in assets and trade over $1 million a day would be the criteria. So here you can see BMO has over 50 ETFs that meet that criteria. And then within the industry, there's a number of pages that meet that criteria. So lots of wonderful large and liquid ETFs to choose from. From there, you can really break it down. So you can search by different asset classes. You can choose real estate, currency, wherever your interest is bringing you to. Sub-asset classes, there's a variety of different classes. If you're opportunistic about the energy sector, if you're wanting to have a factor tilt to your portfolio, all of those sub-asset classes are available for you in your research. Same thing with strategy. There's a big movement towards small cap right now as interest rates change. Maybe you're more of a mid-cap investor. You're looking for low volatility as, volatility persists in the market. So lots of different strategies and filters to choose from there. Structure, this gets more into the currency side of things, but you can choose which currency, hedged, unhedged, filter you'd like to use there. And last but not least, if geography is something important to you, you can check out the region section and filter out there. So that wraps it up for the largest and most liquid ETFs section. The final thing I'll note is there's a download button. So this is excellent. It allows you to download this in a digestible Excel file. So really wonderful if you want to get pretty technical and do some more research there.
I also love how it's sort of enabled or intertwined with our comparison tool too. So you can actually click on the compare button on the right there and pick the ETFs, and then it'll bump you out to the comparison tool where you can actually do a side by side of each of these on all the different metrics that we showed you in the last video. So this is a great resource for investors to sort of as a beginning filter, right? If you want to look at sort of those largest and most liquids, is a great place to start. And then you can kick out to the compare tool as well. So thanks for that, Zayla. That's awesome. Another tool I'd like you to demo for us is the ETF Overview Tool. I think this is sort of it's almost like you're looking at our website, but with a bunch of added features as well that you're going to show us. So walk us through this ETF Overview Tool, if you would.
I'm so excited for this part. Thank you for bringing us to that. I think, yeah, like you mentioned, this tool is so exceptional. The amount of depth and knowledge and research that went into this is amazing. So Kevin Prinz, who guided the first video, he always says this, but these are ETF tools built by ETF experts. So whatever you're thinking should be into these tools is there. And Erin will mention this later, but if there's something we missed or something you're thinking needed to be in the tool that we didn't include, leave us a comment and we'll read that. So in the overview tool, you can search whatever ticker you're excited about. So something very popular is, of course, ZSP, which is the BMO S&P 500 Index ETF. I'm going to choose the US dollar unit one just for our example today. So here you have this beautiful, clean looking chart. You can see the ticker that we've searched, which is again, the S&P 500 Index ETF in the US dollar unit version. In the overview chart, you can zoom in on different time periods here. You can do short term, 6 months, or you can do since inception. And another interesting feature is you can also compare it to an index. So we here would compare to the S&P 500, and you can see the performance overlay and a really beautiful graph to complement it right there.
That's a great tool to check for tracking error on an ETF for sure. So put it up against the index that it says it tracks. That line should be very tight, especially for something with a fee as low as ZSP.
Excellent point. Yeah, thank you for that, Erin. At the top, you can see the bid-ask spread, the volume, the average trading. We'll get into that a little bit later, I think, Erin. But really nice high-level overview of what to expect for this ETF. As you head down, again, there's some key features. You can see how it's doing against its peers, which is really transparent and very cool to see. You've got a really nice, clean overview, asset allocation, sectors, geography. I'm always happy with a nice colorful pie chart. So thank you, BMO. Nice work there. And last but not least, the total performance here. So you can see as of July 31st, of course, for the ZSP.U ticker, you have the standardized performance here listed out for the investor to see. As we head back up, we can dig right more into the profile. So it lays out the strategy, the issuer, the portfolio management company. It gives you a nice overview and bio of the portfolio manager themselves. The other really beautiful thing you can see here is there's a link to a website. So it will bring you to that portfolio management company's website. So if it's not BMO, you can go see another ETF provider's website and do more information, do more due diligence and reading on that ETF. The next tab here, this is super cool for all our technical analysis people. If you really want to geek out and check out these graphs, this is such an exceptional part of the tool here. So here you have this chart. You can search by different indicators here. Anybody that is a technical analysis person, this is going to be probably your favorite section of the website. It's very thoughtful. There's also different tools on the side here that you can use to insert a vertical line, disjoint channel. There's a variety of different gestures and smileys if you want to add a sad face or a happy face, depending on the movement of the chart. So some really incredible tools and thoughtfulness that went into the charting section of this overview. Last but not least, I'm going to run you through the holdings section of this part of the fund overview tool. So again, a beautiful, colorful bar chart. You can see the top 10 holdings by weight. And then you've also got the ticker there listed on the right. So that wraps it up for the fund overview tool. I know that we can go into the distributions, recent trades, and news, but I think Erin has a different vision of how we're going to get there.
Yeah, it's again, these tools are intertwined, right? So you can access the news function or the trading and sales function through that overview tab, or you can access it here from the landing page. So walk us through how an investor might keep up to date on what's going on in the news with an ETF that they own with that tool.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a wonderful section if you're seeing things in the headlines, if you want to stay abreast of the latest news and insights. Like Erin mentioned, you can either do it from the fund overview tool like I was demoing, or you come back into the main tool section and come right through here. So we're going to check out, again, we're going to keep on this theme, just talking about the broad US market. Let's talk about ZSP, which is the S&P 500 Index ETF, but let's use the Canadian dollar version. So here you can see we've got that really quick overview as you saw in the previous tool, but you've got a nice news section. Looks like on February 5th at 9 a.m., there was something published around BMO ETFs being recognized by Fund Data, a really nice mention to us for the Fund Grade A+ awards. And again, if you wanted to go in the overview section, we can see for the BMO S&P 500 Index ETF, you've got the standardized performance as of July 31st, 2024 listed out for you to see.
Beautiful. Yeah, a great spot to go if you want to get the latest news on a specific ticker. A lot of investors, this is a question that we get a lot through. Well, first of all, let me back up. If you don't know already, we have a spot where you can ask us questions on our etfmarketinsights.com website. So if you have anything for Zayla and I, just shoot us a question in there. One that we get a lot is around distributions. There's a lot of people who are looking for those more income-oriented or cash flow-oriented, as we like to call them, solutions. So what we did is we created a distribution tool to help investors really visualize how that looks for particular ETFs. So Zayla, walk us through that.
Absolutely. And you hit a really key point there, Erin. When we're talking about cash flow, that's a word that gets tossed around in our industry a lot, but it's really important to see what that truly means. So let's think about a cash flow ETF. Erin, what would be a cash flow ETF that you think would come up a lot for our investors?
Let's use one of our covered call ETFs. Let's use ZWB. I think it has the longest track record of all of our covered call ETFs.
I was hoping you would choose that one. Good. Okay, so we've got the covered call Canadian Banks ETF, as Erin so eloquently shared with us. So here we go. We've got our covered call Canadian Banks ETF. BMO is a pioneer and an expert in this space, so it's wonderful we get to chat about this. So you can see here on the distributions tab, best part about this page is it's showing you in dollar value. So sometimes people get really hung up on distribution yield as a percentage, but that's sometimes only half the story. So when we're looking at distributions, it's really important and nice to see the dollar amount when we're thinking about financial planning and wanting to see that consistency of the distributions. The other thing I'll note is it's important to see the dollar amount because if the valuation changes, that can inflate or deflate your percentage of yield. So that's why we show both the yield and the dollar value, just so our investors have a transparent way to understand how much they would be getting in their cash flow. I would be
remiss because a lot of people are really attracted by those high sticker yields. They might see 10, 13, 14% distribution yield, but really, that's depending on the price, the NAV, and the dollar amount of those distributions. So
yeah, the denominator is always an important factor for sure.
Yeah.
And we talk about this a lot, but the sustainability of the yield, and BMO has always done a really wonderful job of making sure that yield is sustainable and appropriate and paid out over the long term.
Yeah, that's something that comes up a lot with covered calls. Covered calls have been such a hot topic when it comes to, these cash flow oriented solutions. And I often come across different videos of, content creators talking about how a covered call ETF, may have cut their distribution, and they always kind of frame it as a catastrophe. And, from my perspective, I think that's a good thing that an ETF issuer is looking at creating a sustainable distribution and not just distributing for the sake of distributing, right? So at BMO, something that we pride ourselves on is that we pay what we earn when it comes to our covered call ETFs. So we're not stretching to get that higher percentage distribution yield. We are very careful not to grind the NAV on our covered call ETFs, and the goal is really to balance that growth and income and pay a sustainable cash flow on what we're earning in the portfolio. So I think it's a good picture to see that, those do fluctuate month to month, and that's normal.
Very, very hot topic, NAV erosion and all of those good things. But no, thank you so much for covering that, Erin. And it's a topic I know that we're very passionate about. I'll also, this is a really nice way to translate into, again, performance. So when you're talking about distributions and yield, sometimes things can look really attractive, but that may or may not tell the whole picture. So if we go back to the overview, sure, the distribution yield's very attractive, but what is the total performance? So we can see at the bottom here, when we're looking at the BMO Covered Call Canadian Banks ETF, ZWB, you can see the total returns here. So again, almost a 9% almost an 8% since inception return. So really wonderful way to show both performance and distribution yield.
Yeah, the two definitely go hand in hand. That's awesome. Final tool for today, Zayla, that I want you to demo, I think is, maybe a little bit more geared towards a more sophisticated investor, but nonetheless, we wanted to provide this level of transparency. It's something that we use in the industry a lot, and that is our recent trades tool, showing sort of the latest trading history of ETFs across all Canadian exchanges. So explain to us how this tool works, Zayla.
Absolutely. And again, when I joined the ETF team, this was something that I hadn't heard about. When you hear about trading and liquidity and volume, when you're looking up a ticker, you assume that you're only seeing, you assume that you're seeing that whole volume traded, but that's not always the case. So what I mean by that is I'll show you. So let's just again go back to ZSP as our example here. And you can see here the trade summary. Okay, so volume is a discussion that's always going on in the ETF industry. But if you're talking about volume and only looking at one exchange that it's listed on, it doesn't tell the whole picture. So what this tool has done is taken a consolidated volume approach. So you're able to see the volume across all indexes that it's trading on and not just the one that might be listed.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's great that we show all the recent trades too, so that you can see exactly what's going on with that ETF. And, a lot of people use volume as an indicator for liquidity of an ETF. And, there's really two components when you're sort of trying to evaluate the liquidity. I'd say volume is one that you might want to look at, but the most important is the liquidity of the underlying security in that ETF. So if the underlying is liquid, the ETF will be liquid, regardless of the volume that you're seeing traded. And that's because ETFs are open-ended. And that means that units can be created or redeemed based on demand. And that is all supported by the market maker function, which we've talked about on this channel a lot. And that's really where ETFs shine. The market makers can support that liquidity. They can buy and sell ETFs throughout the day, create redeem units, and ensure the liquidity is there. So, again, going back to the market maker's role, how easy their role is really comes down to how liquid the underlying is as well. So volume's not the be all and end all when it comes to liquidity, but it is a factor that you can look at to see. And we provide full transparency there. And one thing, if you take the volume traded on this tool and compare it to something like Yahoo Finance, you'll see the volume on Yahoo Finance is way lower. So that's something that we always like to highlight here too, is that having that consolidated volume is going to give you the clear picture. And we invested in the tool to make sure that that was available to you guys, which I think is a huge benefit. Anything else you wanted to add on this one, Zayla?
No, I think you covered it all, but very common misconception in the industry, but I'm just so glad that we have that full transparency for our investors.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for that demo, Zayla. That was great. Thanks for joining us and walking us through these great new tools. I hope investors are using them. As you mentioned, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below if there's any features that you'd like to see improved on the tools or any data issues that you might have seen or anything like that. Please keep us in the loop so that we can improve them and make them better for you. But that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the demo. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of ETF Market Insights. To stream any previous episode of ETF Market Insights series, please visit youtube.com/ETF Market Insights. Remember to hit subscribe and sign up for alerts so you know when we post new content. Also, we invite you to visit our accompanying website for ETF tools, education, and much more at etfmarketinsights.com. Once again, thank you for watching. The session provided is for information purposes only. Any reference to a particular company or product is for illustrative purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell. Particular investments and/or trading strategies should be evaluated relative to the individual's investment objectives, and professional advice should be obtained with respect to any circumstance.